Happy Wednesday. It's Mrs. Holloman coming to you with another mathematics tip for today. Today we're looking at solving two-step equations, and your homework will reflect this lesson topic. I wanted to just apologize to all of those wonderful students who participated in last week's one-step equation video, and Ms. Holloman made a mistake. All mathematicians make mistakes, and that's how we get better. And Ms. Holloman definitely made a mistake right here on this one. Wanted to make sure that we were clear that Ms. Holloman failed to see the negative right there on the negative 11. All right, so it's very important that we know that Ms. Holloman missed that one. So, of course, we're going to do the Betty Boop on this one, this negative 5, make it a plus a negative 5, and that will give us a negative 16. So I do apologize for that because it was a big bloopers for Mrs. Holloman in terms of ensuring that she was attending to precision with the mathematics on last week. Okay, so that should have been a negative 16 as my answer. Because I would have group there and gotten a plus negative 5. So negative 11 plus a negative 5 is indeed negative 16. Alright, so if I was a child, I would tap my hand and say, no, that was incorrect. Alright, so we're going to move on to today's lesson, which is on two-step equations. And it's important to understand that a two-step equation, such as 2x plus 3 equals 9, has two different operations, multiplication and addition. Now, all two-step equations will not have that. Some two-step equations will have subtraction and division. For example, I could have a half x minus 3 equals 12, okay? So some two-step equations will have division and also subtraction. But the key to this is that all two-step equations have two operations that you have to do to perform in order to solve it. Now, to solve a two-step equation, it's important that you know we have to undo the operations in reverse order of operations. So we're very familiar with PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Sally, which stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Well, it's very important that you know when we're solving two-step equations, we kind of go backwards and we kind of stop right here, okay? So the first thing we do when we're solving two-step equations is we add or subtract. And the second thing we do is we multiply or divide. So it's kind of like you're going backwards with the two-step equations. All right. With that being said, let's look at this one. Ms. Holloman likes to separate her equation into two different parts, okay? So the equal sign determines the parts. So here's part 1, here's part 2. You could say this is part A and this is part B. It's up to you. All right, the key to this is whichever part has the variable on its side is the side that you start on. So I'm going to start over here at part 2, part B. All right, and I have 1 plus 4s equals 13. Now the old school person, Ms. Holloman, likes to have her equation with the variable on the left-hand side and her answer on the right-hand side. All right, but you can do either way. The first thing we do, remember, is we add or subtract. All right? So here we're going to subtract 1 to undo plus 1. So we're going to subtract 1 on both sides. Okay? So we're left with 4s is equal to 13 minus 1 is 12. My second step is to multiply or divide. So here I have 4 times s. I want to undo multiplication, so I'm going to divide on both sides by 4. So I'm left with s is equal to 12 divided by 4. 3. Alright, I have another here. Negative 3y minus 5 equals 10. I'm going to do my little dotted line here, alright, to separate my equation. And I'm going to look and say this is side 1, this is side 2. I'm going to work on side 1 because it has the variable. Oh, look at here. I got a negative here, 3y, and a minus sign here. So remember, the inverse of order of operations, you're going to start with adding or subtracting. So here I have minus 5 in my problem. I want to do the opposite, the inverse of minus 5. I want a plus 5. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. All right? So I'm left with negative 3y equals 10 plus 5 is 15. All right? My last step is to multiply or divide. Okay? And here I have negative 3 times y. So I want to undo times, so I'm going to divide on both sides by a negative 3. And notice that I'm attending to precision here this time, and identifying that I am working with a negative so that I do not mess this answer up, hopefully. All right? All right, so negative 3 divided by negative 3 is a positive 1, and 15 divided by negative 3 is a negative 5. So y equals negative 5. All right, so it's important that we identify the mathematics behind this. Why does this work? Because of the properties of equality is the same thing as the golden rule of algebra. All right, the golden rule of algebra is just like the golden rule that we've all learned as children. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Okay? Well, the golden rule of algebra says do unto one side of the equation as you've done to the other side. Okay, so here is an equation. And I like this equation because it has some division in it. Alright? And in order to solve it, we're going to have to do the inverse of divide. We're going to have to multiply. Okay? So I'm going to write it right here just so that we all understand what Ms. Holloman is referring to. Okay. Alright, so with this one, I am going to find my little dotted line. Okay. And I am going to look at it and say the first thing I do is I add or subtract because I want to undo order of operations. I want to go in reverse order of operations. So I want to add or subtract. So on the side with the variable, I have a minus 3. I want to do the inverse of minus 3. I want to add 3 on both sides. So I'm left with a negative 16x equals 2 plus 3 is 5. Now, this really excites me, okay, when we have division. It excites me because whenever I have a fraction connected to a variable like glue, I want to reciprocate. That means flip over the fraction. All right, so that means my 6 will now be my numerator and my 1 will be my denominator, and it will still be negative. Okay, so I'm going to reciprocate and multiply. So I'm going to reciprocate and multiply. And when I do that, these cross cancel, become 1 and 1, and these are already 1s. And so I have a negative times a negative is a positive 1x equal, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. Okay? And just to be fair, I like to change them both to fractions. Alright, because they are rational numbers. Any rational number is a fraction. All right, so I have 5 times a negative 6, which is equal to negative 30. All right, over 1. So my answer should be x equals negative 30. All right. Oh, we're moving quickly. Okay, simplify before solving. Include more than 2 terms. Okay, whenever you have more than 2 terms on one side of the equation, it simply tells me that I have to simplify before I try to solve the two-step equation. So I am going to see what I can simplify. These are called like terms because they both are coefficients with a variable of x. These are called like terms. In like terms, you can always combine. Okay? Combine means either add them together or subtract them. Alright, so I have 2x plus x, and x is actually 1x. So I'm going to combine 2x plus 1x, and I'm going to get 3x minus 27 is a constant term, and I can't do anything to that to combine it with anything else because there's no other constants, terms without variables. So I just rewrite my equation. Okay, so here we are. I've combined those, my like terms, and now I'm ready to add or subtract. Okay, so I am going to do the inverse of subtract 27. I'm going to add 27. And remember the golden rule of algebra, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. So I have 3x is equal to 27 plus 3, which is 30. After I add or subtract, now I multiply or divide. Okay, so here I have 3 times x is given to me. I want to do the inverse of times. I want to divide by 3 on both sides. So my x is equal to 30 divided by 3, 10. Alright, now I have this other example here. Notice I have like terms that are coefficients. They both have the variable c. I can combine those. So I'm going to say, oh, this is a tricky one. You have to take the sign that's in front of it. I have negative 9c plus 3c. So really I have negative 9 plus 3. When I combine those, I have a negative 6c. So this simplifies to negative 6c. So 4 minus 6c is equal to 58.
It's 50.
Let's see if I can figure out how to do this really quick. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to write it over here. I have 4 minus 6c equals 58. Alright. I'm going to do my dotted line. And now I am going to solve by first adding or subtracting. So I hate it when they have the variable behind the constant. So I like to bring it front and center. I like my coefficient to be front and center. So I'm going to rewrite it. Okay? Now, these are equivalent equations. Negative 6c plus 4 equals 58. I just like my coefficient to be first. I like for it to be the leading variable or the leading term within the equation. I like to say the leading lady. I don't know if you all can relate to that. But anyway, it's the leading term within the equation. So here, I want to add or subtract. So I'm going to subtract 4, which will undo plus 4 on both sides. whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. I'm left with negative 6c equals 54. My last thing that I will do, the last operation, is to multiply or divide. I want to undo negative 6 times c. So I'm going to divide by negative 6 on both sides. So c is going to be equal to 54 divided by negative 6, and that is a negative 9. Okay? Now here, negative 6 divided by a negative 6 is actually a positive 1. So I'm left with positive 1c. So this actually is a positive 1c. Of course, we could drop the 1 because that's imaginary, and it's just c equals negative 9. All right, let's get it back to single page. And I have a triangle here, and I found this problem in the accelerated math book, and I thought it was a very interesting problem. And it's basically asking us to find the perimeter of this shape given its sides. Now the sides of this shape are equations, all right? So this side is an x, and of course it's not drawn to scale. This side is x plus 3, and this side, this last side, is 9 inches, all right? So they're asking us to find the perimeter of this shape. Now it says the perimeter of the triangle in the figure is 22 inches. So it tells us the perimeter. Okay, the perimeter is 22 inches. And those who have an accelerated book, I'm on page 336, number 54. It says solve the equation x plus 3 plus 9 equal 22 to find the length of x, which is the shortest side of the triangle. Okay, so I'm going to take x plus 3 plus 9, set that equal to 22 inches to figure out what is the perimeter. Okay, we just talked about combining like terms. When I have more than more than 2 terms on one side of the equation, that means I have to combine my like terms before I can solve. So here I have x plus x, that's a 1x plus a 1x, which equals a 2x. And here I have some constants. I have 3, positive 3 plus 9, which is a positive 12. And that's equal to 22 inches. Okay? So, I have a 2-step equation here that I can solve. My first step is to add or subtract. So I'm going to look and say, what should I add or subtract? And they give me plus 12. I want a minus 12 on both sides. I'm left with 2x is equal to 22 minus 12, which is 0 and 1, 10. Now I want to multiply or divide. They give me times in my problem. I want to divide on both sides by 2. And I'm left with x is equal to 10 divided by 2, or 10 inches divided by 2, which is 5 inches. So x is actually equal to 5. They didn't ask me to solve this side, but I could say 5 plus 3 equals 8. So this side is 8 inches. This side is 5 inches. And this side was given to me. It's 9 inches. That's all I have for you today. I do have your homework outlined, and this video is available on YouTube. I will put the link on the homework sheet. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Ms. Cole or Ms. Holloman. We'll be glad to help you.